Welcome back to HQ Spotlight. A big game on the docket for Lenora Sellers and the Gamecocks as South Carolina heads south for a date in the Bayou against number 11 LSU. Of course, the Tigers boasting a 20-game home win streak against unranked teams. And for South Carolina, it's just the first of 5 straight against currently ranked AP Top 11 teams. You see the schedule there on your screen. Shane Beamer talked about setting the tone for that stretch come Saturday. Basically said you got to take it one game at a time, but still, it is certainly a big one going down to Death Valley to take on LSU. So let's set the stage with one of the hosts of the Cover 3 podcast, our good friend Tom Fornelli. We kind of have heard from Shane Beamer to this point, Tom. He talked about the challenges of the schedule going forward. How important is it for him to get a win on Saturday, and what's the game plan to get there?
I mean, I think it's always important, especially now with South Carolina having some losses on the board. If they want to achieve their goals of, playing for an SEC title, maybe getting to the college football playoff, they can't really afford to drop any of these games. But as that schedule showed, it's not going to be easy for them to do, because you can look at this LSU team and think this might be their easiest game for the next month or so, because at least they're ranked outside the top 10. Nobody else on the schedule seems to be. But if you're going to do it, you're going to have to go into a really tough place to play in Death Valley and at LSU and Baton Rouge, and you're just going to have to play really well. You're going to have to play fundamental. You cannot make mistakes. You're going to have to take care of the football, and you are going to have to take advantage of an LSU offense that, frankly, to this point in the year has not been good at all. This is an LSU team that has been led by its defense. Their offensive line has really struggled. It's put Garrett Nussmeier in a lot of bad spots. They have not been able to run the ball. Do not be the team that helps LSU figure it out, or else you're going to end up losing, and you're going to be in a real tough spot with the games you still have to come. Yeah, they are still one of the top teams in the conference, despite all the narratives and the noise out there. I do kind of want to talk about a player to watch in this one, because we know South Carolina is coming off of that win against Kentucky. Dylan Stewart had a sack in that game, but it's kind of been up and down for Stewart this season, right? He had the incident post-Missouri where Shane Beamer had to chase him down to come stand with his teammates after the alma mater, during the alma mater after a loss. How important is he in this game, and how do you kind of block out some of that old noise and the things that people are saying about you? Because to your point, this is a big game. Yeah, this is a massive game for him, because this is also just a great matchup. Now, if you look at his stats on the year, overall, he's got 7 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 5 hurries. He's forced 2 fumbles. He's on pace to have a season similar to what he had last year. The problem was you were hoping that he would grow on that, because he was a freshman last season, and you were hoping him to take a step forward, and we haven't really seen that. We see the same player who, again, very good player, but you'd kind of like him to be elite, and he hasn't shown that this year. But you look at this matchup, this is an LSU offense that, as I mentioned, they've been felled by their offensive line all season long. Garrett Nussmeier is constantly under pressure. If you are Dylan Stewart and you are the South Carolina Gamecocks and you want to go in there and pull off the upset on Saturday, you need Dylan to get pressure on Nussmeier. You need him to get home. You need to force him into making mistakes, because we have seen plenty of times in the past when Garrett Nussmeier is pressured, he will put the ball in harm's way. He will turn it over. Dylan Stewart needs to be the guy that's driving that and putting that pressure on Nussmeier to help that offense, because the South Carolina offense has been playing better in recent weeks, but this LSU defense is very good. So if you can give them some short fields instead of forcing them to march 75, 60 yards to get a touchdown, it would be a huge boost. Stewart with 3.5 sacks on the season. He's also got 2 forced fumbles and 10 solo tackles on the year. Let's go to the other side, where LSU, as we know, was on the losing side of a matchup against Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss. Tom, what's the biggest thing you need to see in a bounce-back game for the Tigers this week? I just need to see some signs of life from this offense. Like, defensively, the narrative coming into the year and the last few years was LSU's offense was great and their defense was killing them. They couldn't stop anybody, and it was what was keeping Brian Kelly from achieving what he was hoping to achieve when they went and they brought him to Baton Rouge. This year, it's completely turned around. The defense, the moves they made in the transfer portal to add to their secondary have been phenomenal. They are all hitting. This defense has been fantastic. It's just they have not been able to replace the guys they lost on their offensive line, and it is kind of sinking this team. Their record is very good. It's just, if you watch how they play, they don't look nearly as good as that 4-1 record suggests. And you see that win against Clemson. It felt like a lot bigger deal at the time before Clemson started losing to everybody else on its schedule. So I need to see this offense get its act together and take a step forward. I need to see this offensive line start blocking and giving Garrett Nussmeier time, because Garrett Nussmeier came into the season talked about as one of the best quarterbacks in the country, a possible #1 pick in the NFL draft. And he has not looked like it at all because of that line.
It is definitely, it seems like a lot of these quarterbacks that we spoke so highly about in the lead up to college football maybe just haven't met the mark just yet. They have been missing a few key players, so it is good news for this offense, Tom. Wide receiver Aaron Anderson is expected to play after suffering a right elbow strain in that game against Ole Miss. He leads LSU in receiving yards this season. How much different do you expect Garrett Nussmeier to be with him on the field?
Yeah, I think he's a huge part for this offense and what they want to do, because if Garrett Nussmeier's not getting time, that means he kind of has to go with the underneath routes and with guys who can get, yards after the catch, and that's Aaron Anderson. He is not the biggest guy. In fact, he's typically one of the smallest guys on the field, but once he gets the balls in his hand, he is very, very good after the catch. He's got the 23 catches for 305 yards, but you know what he hasn't done yet? He hasn't caught a touchdown. What better time than now for Aaron Anderson to finally find the end zone for this LSU offense?
It would be fun under the lights, 7:45 Eastern time in Death Valley. Tom, give us your winning play.
My winning play here is I like South Carolina and the points. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. I do think that South Carolina is going to be able to hang. As I mentioned, their offense is improving, and I just do not feel LSU's offense has reached a point where they can pull away from anybody. So I think the spread here is a little big. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be lower scoring, and frankly, I cannot wait to watch this one.
We can't wait either. It is a nightcap coming our way in college football. Tom Fornelli, appreciate the time and the insight. You can get more of Tom on the Cover 3 podcast, and to get your college football fix, make sure you lock in to our college football YouTube page with CBS. You can scan that QR code to listen in about your favorite teams right now.